No, that was Steve Miller, not me. Literally. So let me do this.
Galaxy 107fm.
That's right, you're right, here at Galaxy 107 FM. It is 11 minutes after 12 o'clock lunchtime. 16.4 degrees downtown. Now, if you want to know what that is in Fahrenheit, well, it's 61 degrees Fahrenheit. Not bad, it's comfortable, unless you're in the office here. It's very warm, to be honest with you. Got to welcome everybody along on Facebook Live this morning. Nice to have, well, actually this afternoon now, nice to have you all joining us, and believe me, I'm elated for a number of reasons, and literally, let's run down the list. This was supposed to happen last Monday. But a hurricane hit, and of course, emergency stuff, Mark couldn't make it then. Then on Tuesday, because we bumped it to Tuesday, we had the council outside chopping stuff down, trees and stuff like that. Couldn't hear ourselves think, couldn't happen. Then we were fully booked for Wednesday. So guess what? Here we are. And we literally tried yesterday as well, but unfortunately, software problems and, believe me, very panicky IT guys. And these guys are geniuses in their own right. Very, very worried, so we couldn't make it then. Today we're going to do it, literally. And joining us live is the man himself, Mark, coming from the band Ficton Syxx. Now, we originally met Mark through York from York's World. And if you're watching York, nice to have you on board. Sorry for keeping you up so late. You know, for the last week, must have insomnia now. So you'll be used to it. Sean Simpson's joining us. Nice to have you on board, Sean. So let's jump straight on in with Ficton Syxx and this place called Life here at Galaxy. Ooh, how you feeling, Mark? You okay?
Oh, I'm feeling good, yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely.
The producer says, can you give us a smile?
Yeah, I've got 18 pictures of
Hey,
smiling.
look at that. There's a big cheesy smile. I like those ones.
Yeah.
What's funny is all my pictures, everybody says, why do you always look so pissed off? You know, kind of looking at it. I said, well, it's my eyebrows. I can't do a damn thing about it. It's a genetic thing. I mean, I'm laughing. I'm smiling.
Yeah.
Really,
Don't you let
I'm
anybody
killing
with
you.
bad eyebrows tell you what to do.
But it's just, and then I saw a picture from a rock photographer a while
Hey,
back
Tim.
who's been posting
How
some
are you,
pictures
mate?
of us from Persian Risk on Facebook. His name is Chris Helton. He was taking all kinds of pictures back in the day. But there I am again, the younger me in my 20s with that pissed off look again. With the eyebrows. I'm like, I guess that's my look. I just look pissed off all the time. I don't know.
Well, okay. I tell you what, Mark, and believe me, you'll get a copy of everything we do today. After this interview, we'll take a few photos, you know, do a couple of crazy ones for you. You'll be able to put them on your cell phone as, you know, Kiwis, not healthy, you know, wallpapers. But at the same time, Barbara will turn the whole interview into a movie as well, so you'll be able to have that. It'll also go onto YouTube. But we're doing something new at the moment, Mark, which is really, really fascinating, because it seems like people want to watch those more than the live interviews, is we're going to turn it into a cartoon.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I like cartoons.
Yeah, I do too, because for once it actually makes me look good. I'm not, look, Mark, I got the perfect face for radio, right?
Well, the old days they weren't taking any video shots. It was all on the radio. It was just your voice, man.
Exactly.
Your personality and your voice coming through the microphone.
Exactly, and believe me, I ducked Television New Zealand like crazy. Michael King is joining us. Nice to have you on board, Michael. And my brother Tim Steinreich is in the house, the mighty one. Love you, Tim. We really, really do. Must catch up very, very shortly, brother man. We really should.
He's booked in for this
He's booked
month.
in?
Yeah, he's booked
Awesome, awesome.
I'm organised.
And Mark, you'll love Tim too. I must introduce you. He's
They do know
from a
each
rock
other.
band coming out of
They
Canada.
know each other.
Oh, they know each
Yeah,
other.
yeah. He's mighty indeed, and so is his beard.
Yeah.
He's the most mighty beard of all.
Love it. That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, and today I'm joined by Ficton Syxx, absolutely brilliant, coming out of Arkansas. Oh, by the way, the biggest news in the news this morning, check this out. Yeah, peach fruit flavoured best pineapple lumps are available. You can get peach flavoured now. Absolutely fantastic. I'm one to give those a go, I really do. Yeah, I really am. All the other, nothing in the news really except for COVID virus. But we're joined today, coming out of Arkansas, from the band, Ficton Syxx. And believe me, let's run through the list. J.K. Northrup on guitars, backing vocals and production. Mark Lanu, it is Lanu, isn't it?
It's Lanu, that's correct.
That's right. Vocals and guitars, Larry Hart and bass, Roy Fascion. Okay, very passion of him on drums, and Eric Ragno on keys. Believe me, and I see why production have actually started the show with this place called Life. Mark, fascinating song. Welcome to Galaxy, by the way. Tell me a little bit about that particular track.
Yeah, this place called Life actually was one of the latter tracks that we actually recorded for the album. And I started by writing that one basically about this is your place, a place called Life. You know, we're here for a certain amount of time. Just like that line I say, pull up a seat and pay the price. It's just, it's part of the ride, right? So we want that one to be a little bit different than the other tracks on the album. We wanted to kind of give a little bit of a flavor to it. And so that one's kind of one of the more obscure tracks on the album, but we go from everywhere from, piano ballads to we're going to rock your head off, so we want that kind of dynamic with on the album. So
now at the same time, Mark, and I want to let this out, you guys, let's put it this without being too blasé about it, are up for a Grammy.
Well, right now we're considered for the Grammys. So there's stages to the Grammys. You're considered, so they submit your music into it, and then the voters get to vote in a certain period that happens like in October. And if you get enough votes in that one category, then you're considered a nominee, right? And then they vote again later in the year to see who actually wins the Grammy out of that particular category from the nominees. So it is a process, but it's a really fun and exciting process, and it's nice to hear kind of all the different types of music in all the genres through that process as well. So.
Well, we here at Galaxy, Mark, wish you absolutely all the best. We're going to be following this with great interest. We really are. And don't forget, go to Galaxy Facebook page, literally the artist page there, and remind everybody to vote. Will you do that? Just promote yourself. It's free, and believe me, there's a whole host of people having a look in there. You never know, it might make a difference. You know what I'm saying?
It might. Absolutely. I'll be posting there for sure. I think I posted there a couple times this last week, as a matter of fact, if I remember correctly.
Brilliant, because
I like to see your pictures, I just go in there just to see what kind of goofy pictures you're going to stick on there. That's some of my favorite parts of it, too. So.
I have people saying to Barbara, how do you keep a straight face, Barbara? Literally. The thing is, if you notice, I'm actually behind her, so she doesn't actually see it. She's just taking the photo, which is fascinating. It really is. But Barbara does such a great job. She really does. Having said that, Sean Simpson, you rock as well. We love you, Sean. We really, really do. Thank you for joining us again. Now, having said that, history comes tumbling. Tell me a little bit about this, because I absolutely love this track.
Yeah, so that has to do with, I'm a history buff, right? So I look at history just like anyone would look at good and evil or yin and yang. You know, it just has to do with the fact that we need to learn from that. There's good history and there's bad history, and it is what it is. It's exactly what we call it. It's history. You're just supposed to learn from it. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't really learn much about history anymore, or they make up their own ideology about what history is. And so it's really about everything really falling apart on that premise. If you don't keep a hold of history, then you're damned to recycle the same things over and over again. So that's what that song's about. It's about the stuff that's happening now to us in this current environment, and kind of a cyclical thing. I've seen this happen many times through history. The only thing that changes is technology. Besides that, human nature, we're chaotic, and it's a cyclical thing. So,
You know, I kind of get that. I really, really do. So right here, joined by Mark, the man himself from Ficton Syxx, here is History Comes Tumbling. How you feeling, Mark? You okay?
oh yeah, I've got my water, I've got my pillow over here. I'm feeling good.
Water? Oh,
Yeah, water.
God. Yeah. I hope it's mixed with something a little stronger than water.
Ice. That's strong.
Ice. You know what ice is, don't you?
It's water with a heart.
Water with a heart on, yeah. Well, it is.
right.
That's coming from the wife.
Firm subject.
Yeah, I could go for a skate on that one, I'm sorry. What sort of cup is that? That's huge.
This is so my daughter, my middle daughter, when I was living in Florida, used to work for a cinema there, and they had Deadpool was there in the movies, and they had a bunch of these big cups that they had for their big drinks at the movie theater, and she brought a number of these home. A lot of the artwork is kind of etched off of it now because I've used them so many times, but I love them because they're huge. You can put a bunch of water in them,
Water.
and it lasts for a while. So.
Water.
Well, that's the Jersey coming out of me. I'm originally from New Jersey, and everything is either it's water, and when I open the draw, so it's.
I got a friend of mine, she's a counsellor in New Jersey, you know, and I says to her one day, because I was introducing her, and I says, she's from New Jersey, and she says, Grant, you could be a cab driver.
That's right.
I like that. Her name's Randy O'Neill. Great artist in her own right, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is. She's a counsellor. So if you need counselling afterwards and you want to go back to New Jersey for a little, you know, I'm sure I could hook you up with a very good counsellor.
There you go. There might come a time where one of my ids needs some counseling.
There you go. Well, I tell you what, if you're closer to, say, North Carolina, I've got a friend over there. He's also not only a counsellor, but he's a criminologist.
Oh, there you go.
You never know when you need a good criminologist in your side, you know? Yeah. Show me how to get rid of this for me and not get any clues, you know? Yeah, we won't say much, will we?
Yeah, murder by dry ice. The evidence disappears.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's make this look like an excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
You are devious. Hey, how many countries this morning?
Countries. 292.
No, it can't be. It was 75 earlier on.
I don't know.
76. Right. Okay, let's go back to the
Galaxy.
That's right, you're right, here at Galaxy 107 FM, and absolutely loving The last interview of the week is just absolutely fantastic. Catching up with Mark from the band Ficton Syxx, coming out of Arkansas. Now, Mark, at the same time, we did speak very, very briefly about Tim Steinrach and the Mighty One and everything like that. Now, having said that, what I'm trying to get at here is it's a surreal time right now with this COVID virus thing and anything like that. But once the doors open up, any plans maybe of getting together at some stage, doing a show together?
We've been talking about doing some festivals. So the interesting thing about it is that we were like a COVID band before it was COVID, right? So my members are all over the place. We have members, my drummer's in Nashville, my bass player, my guitar player producer, and my keyboard player in California. So, and I'm in Arkansas. But the bottom line is that, and we also have day jobs, obviously, but we definitely want to play live. So the best setting for that would most likely be festivals. We're also looking at and talking to several labels as well. So, there will be plans that will change, but we definitely want to play out live in some way.
Let's put it this way, and believe me, I think it's an epiphany myself. And let me give you the backstory to this, is that I actually introduced Tim to another band coming out of Norway by the name of Viking Queen and Gay Miranda. And, at the same time, I also managed to be able to introduce them to another artist that's a good friend of ours, Steve Lynch from the band Autograph, if you know what I mean. Collaborations are going on all over the place with these two bands and Steve. But the whole deal is literally we're waiting for the borders to open up so that we can get these guys here in New Zealand to play a couple of festivals, a couple of shows here in New Zealand. Same with Australia and everything like that. Now, Mark, would be very, very interested if you consider maybe coming and joining us in our endeavours of getting this rock show happening here in New Zealand. Would you consider that?
If everything lined up and it was feasible, yeah, we consider that, yeah.
Very, very cool, because believe me, I would love to have you join us. And let me give you a little something as well. You're familiar with a band called AC/DC, right?
Yeah, I sure am, yeah.
Okay, well, a very, very good friend of mine, and believe me, I know the whole band, but the very first and founder of the band and first lead singer, Dave Evans, is going to be taking part in this as well, if you know what I mean. And if you want to draw a card, this man is absolutely a draw card. But having said that, Philip Rudd, the former drummer, also lives about an hour and a half away from where we are, and we know each other very, very well. In fact, I think he'd be insulted if we didn't take everybody to his restaurant at least once or twice, you know what I mean? So believe me, we will get there. But we would love to be able to have Ficton Syxx literally taking the stages here in New Zealand. We really would. And I think it would be a good accompaniment to the rest of the show. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It has that, I don't know, it's that sort of innocence about it. You know what I mean? Kind of does.
Are you leading into something?
It's a segue. You busted me. Tell me about innocence.
All right, well, innocence is another one of those ones that goes back to the innocence of childhood, remembering what it was like to be a child. I grew up in the inner cities in New Jersey, and we didn't care what color a child was. We didn't care about any of that kind of stuff. It was just we were friends, friends on the playground, friends trying to get along with one another. It was just an innocent passage, just trying to grow up together. And as a lot of us get older, we grow apart from that. But if we just took some time to just kind of think back to that time of more innocence, we might actually bring us back to a place where we can maybe get along with one another. So that's really what the song is about. It's about how society's just really, at the end of it all, if we don't do the right thing, it really trashes the innocence, and that's the children, and that's the innocence within us all that we tend to look aside from. But that's really what that song is all about.
You know, I absolutely love it. I really do. So you're right here live with Mark from Ficton Syxx at Galaxy and Innocence. gosh, it's hot in here. It really is. Mark, you're not a vegan, are you?
No, not at all.
Look, I ask everybody this, Mark, I really do, because have you ever tried a vegan sausage?
No, I can't say I have.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out whether they're made of real vegans.
Vegetables,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. Just like if Girl Scout cookies are made of real Girl Scout.
Yeah, well, baby oil. Let's go there. How many babies does it take to make a bottle of baby oil?
Yeah.
3 fat
I
ones.
guess it depends on the efficiency of the press.
Well, you got to render them down. I reckon you need at least 3 fat ones.
A plus.
Are you a James Bond fan?
I like my favorite James Bond was actually the one who also played in Highlands. That would be Sean Connery.
Sean Connery, yeah. He was a truck driver when he first started.
Yeah.
And they found him, Ian Fleming found him by sheer accident. He was doing a delivery. But, of course, Daniel Craig, his last movie is about to come out, actually. They're about to release it. But while they were making it, he broke his ankle. He was off work for about 6 weeks. Now, if you're in the industry, that's a lot of money downtime. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
There's
absolutely.
more now.
So the franchise owners and all the bosses and everything all got together and they were kind of contemplating the next James Bond after Daniel Craig leaves. What's it going to look like? You know what I mean? And they decided, let's test the water and see what the public thinks about having a female James Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly.
James?
Yeah, well,
A female named James.
well, Jamie Bond, let's put it that way.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Believe me, the internet blew up and they says no way. Ian Fleming wrote James Bond as a man. Moneypenny, sure, she's a woman. Leave her as that, but leave James as a man. So they've decided to compromise, Mark. He's gay.
Okay, well, that is quite the compromise.
Yeah, do you know what they're going to call him?
Enlighten me.
U7.
Oh, there you go.
Makes you wonder what they're going to do with this Walter PPK now.
I'm actually somebody who does not. I think that everybody should have a hero, but at the same token, I really don't think you should mess with iconic stuff just because you want to make everybody feel good about it. I just never have been that person, so I usually don't go see those kind of movies. It's like, oh, why don't you just give it a try? It's like, no. Superman is Superman. Batman is Batman. So that's just the way it is. The Black Panther's the Black Panther.
Exactly.
That is it,
yeah.
period. And it doesn't take anything away. It has nothing to do with prejudice. It's just that's the iconic stance of that particular character, and it has nothing to do with hurting someone's feelings.
Right, I was a big fan of The Witch and Jimmy and the Magic Flute. All my kids loved Jimmy and of course the dinosaur and everything like that, whereas Puff or something like that. But I was a big fan of The Witch. I reckon that witch got a raw deal. I do.
Right, well, exactly.
Oh my gosh. The things we talk about.
Yeah, I know.
Good gosh.
Well, the things we talk about, the things we do for love,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I think the wife got a bad deal. She got me.
I think we all often say that. It's okay.
Very cool. Let's go back to the death.
I love Larry's face.
That's right. You're right here at Galaxy 107 FM. Glad to have everybody along. Just wondering, are things heating up in the with China in the West right now? Believe me, our Defence Minister is getting calls all over the place, including a chance of war is being discussed between China and the West. Scary times. Have a think about that. Really, really is. But in the meantime, folks, we are joined today by Mark, coming from the band Ficton Syxx. Now, we first met Mark way back in the day, literally with York, coming out of York's world over in Germany. And we've been big fans of Mark's work ever since. Now, at the same time, he's releasing brand spanking new stuff all the time, literally. And we would love, love, love it if Mark would again come back again in the near future and release new stuff with us. Are you recording new stuff at the moment, Mark?
Yeah, well, I'm doing a couple things. There's a few people have asked me to sing on their stuff and play guitar on their stuff, but I'm also writing some new material. I'm always working on Ficton Syxx material, and I'm working with my buddy Scott Campbell out of Orlando, Florida. We're still doing tributes, so on the side, members of Ficton Syxx do this tribute thing to the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s called Farmer Bob. It's on YouTube, but right now I'm singing a Kansas tune, Carry On Your Wayward Son, and I just sang a Megadeth one, so you can see the diversity in the stuff we're kind of doing. So
very, very cool. By the way, I don't know whether I should tell you this, but somebody called Mark Lanou is watching this. He might be an imposter.
It could be.
It could be. Yeah. I'd keep an eye out for that guy, believe me, because I know I'm talking to you. Literally. Waiting, wondering. Now, please, tell me about this, because, believe me, between that and My Father's Ghost, and I can't toss it up, which is more my favourite. So tell me about Waiting and Wondering.
Well, that was actually an interesting song, because I wrote that originally for a show with York, actually. I was going to do a live thing, and so I wrote that song specifically to go on his show, and it was with guitar originally and a live voice. And I did that. I went back and I really my grandmother had passed away a couple of years ago, and she was like 100 years old. And so I was kind of jettisoned back to my childhood and, kind of thinking about that. And so all of that, feeling about what I was going to be later on in life and what I was going to do, that whole waiting, wondering, dreaming, looking out the window. And then I'm also waiting for that positive change out the window today. And that's kind of what this whole thing is about. It's waiting, wondering, what is the next thing that's going to happen? Is it going to be something positive? And, so that's where that all came from. And so later on, it was taken by J.K., and Eric, and they took the guitar out and said, hey, why don't we slow it down a little bit, put piano on it? So they did that, and then I went back and re-sang it, and there you go. Voila, there's Waiting, Wondering, the piano ballad. So,
well, I got to be honest with you, Mark. As I said, it's one of my favourite tracks. It really, really is. Little known fact, it's actually on my stereo in the car. It literally, when I'm driving around, I love to be able to have a listen to this. And, of course, My Father's Ghost. I'll let you know that one as well. But this one, I absolutely find fascinating. Now, where did you get this recorded?
The recording itself, I recorded I record the vocal here at my house, in my garage, basically. So I don't have to have my wife throw me out to the doghouse or anything. I walk out to the garage and close the door, but I have such a loud voice, she still hears me occasionally through the walls. But I go up there and I do all my guitar tracks are laid down out there on my system, and all my vocals are done out there, and then I send them to JK. Basically either over WeTransfer or Dropbox, and he does all the magic in Sacramento, California, in his studio, Alien Production Studio. And the same thing with the other guys. Rory records all his drums in Nashville. Eric records all his keyboards in Los Angeles, and Larry comes over to Alien to hang out with old JK and put down the bass. So, but yeah, that's the way we've been doing it. It works out really well. After 3 albums, it's almost like we're in the same room together. We've kind of have a system together. So
very, very cool. Now, does JK master it at the same time?
Yeah, JK does all the engineering, production, mastering. He does all of that. He's really, really talented. One hell of a guitar player, and actually, he has really good ideas with vocals sometimes too. And I'm really open to hear from anybody from the band if they have anything to say about it. It doesn't hurt my feelings any. If it makes the song the best it can be, that's all I ask for. I don't tell them how to play their stuff. I say it's your magic, so you just let your magic flow, and that's how you get Ficton Syxx. So.
Very, very cool, Mark. I love that. I really do. Tommy Roper is joining us as well. Nice to have you on board. And please let JK know, as an engineer, and I've been doing this for almost about 40 years now, I can't fault the work. I really, really can't. And I don't listen to music like a fan does. I listen as an engineer or as a DJ, basically. And
Sure.
Absolutely work well done. It really, really is. So right here at Galaxy, joined by Mark out of Ficton Syxx himself, waiting and wondering on Galaxy. Ah, I see. My engineer's talking to me at the same time. He's trying to text me and tell me because of the software problem we had yesterday.
Right.
And believe me, they've come down to all sorts of things. The why stuff isn't working properly. I think he's finally found it. You know what I mean? So,
Well, that's great.
yeah.
Finding the bug is a reward all in itself. So.
I tell you what, we've been getting hammered here in New Zealand just lately. I mean, the power company got hacked and closed down almost everywhere in New Zealand. Then some of the banks have got hacked, and hospitals have been hacked. You know, and believe me, even website people, they got hacked as well, which is really bad because that really has been. I mean, you're working and then all of a sudden the lights go out and it ain't your fault. And you know the bill's been paid. What's going on?
Sounds like we need better encryption.
And then you go to ring them to say, excuse me, hello, the power's out. And of course, everything's on the internet, right? So if the power's out, the internet ain't going to bloody work.
That's right.
So that's
right.
gone. Ah. Crazy times
Hey
here in New
Ray,
Zealand.
thank you for joining us.
The lovely Barbara.
Who?
You are.
It's Ray Boone.
Ray Boone.
Yeah.
Ray, nice to have you on board. Kind of. I kind of agree. She is the lovely Barbara. And you're right, Ray Boone is watching. So, are you looking at compiling all this together and putting it together as an album?
So what you're playing now, or what are you talking about?
Yeah. What we're playing at the moment is that already an album? Or
Yeah, it's Ghost of My Father's Past. It's available digitally worldwide, and right now, matter of fact, we pressed like a special edition of the CD. There's like we only had like 100 of them made for the special edition, and they're going to be numbered and autographed and everything. But we have some special things that are happening with it, and we're even maybe going to look at vinyl as well at some point, because it's just this is our best record, even among us, and some of the feedback we're getting. There's a lot of people that like our first one, and then there's others that prefer our second one, but this one it's the best one we've done yet. So
how would you like to send us some promotional stuff that we could give away on stage, on the radio here, and
sure,
have
absolutely.
Ficton Syxx, rolling at the same time,
Yeah.
Mark? And I'm going to ask you this: how would you like to do a couple of voice drops for me, saying, "Hi, this is Mark. You can hear us on Galaxy
Sure.
107 FM," something like that.
Yeah, I'd be glad to do that. Yeah.
Do it in
This
a
is Mark Lanou of Ficton Syxx.
yeah, exactly, and bring the eyebrows. Bring the
Your
eyebrows.
eyebrows.
Yeah,
I'm real
yeah.
mad right now.
Yeah. Give it the attitude. Yeah, because believe me, it's all about promoting you, if you know what I mean. And if people keep
Sure.
hearing your name, they're going to go and find out who you are, what you are, and before you know it, you might have another 5,000 friends. You know what I mean?
I'll do some plugs for you, and I'll do some green screen video plugs for you too if you want those. I can do all that stuff.
Awesome. At the same time, though, if you've got a spare T-shirt, we would love to be able to promote you this way as well. Today, coming out of Ireland. Yes. Good friends of ours. Ireland. Aye. You know the fastest game in Ireland, don't you?
What's that?
Pass the parcel.
Yeah, and the leprechauns. And you too.
Oh, God, prepare me for what I am now, and it all seems like a
That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, and today I'm joined by Mark from Ficton Syxx. Now, Mark, how long have you been singing?
Well, that's actually an interesting question because I was originally a guitar player, so I was a sax player before that. I played tenor sax, and then I became a guitar player. And it wasn't until I was in a band called Persian Risk in the 90s, and the singer now is with Nazareth. His name is Carl Sentence. But he was with the Geezer Butler Band before that, and then we all got together as this super group in Florida, and we went out on tour, and Sony International was looking at us and stuff. But anyway, the point I'm getting to is there was a vocal coach there that taught people like Janie Lane and a couple of the Backstreet Boys and stuff, and he saw me and said, I want to know what you're doing back there, not singing up front, because he was listening to me doing background vocal. So I ended up going to vocal lessons with him. My now wife paid for it, lovely lady that she is. So then I ended up starting to sing more, and it just kind of built from there. I joined Biloxi, and when in Mississippi, and when the vocalist Clyde Holly passed away, I just took over the vocal, and from there it just became second nature. I got really a lot of help too from my old bandmate from New Jersey, Dean Fasano, who passed away some years ago. He sang for Prophet, and he did some of the stuff for the Richie Sambora solo albums and stuff, but great vocalist, and he gave me a lot of pointers too. So anyway, I've been a vocalist probably mainly since the early 2000s, really. So I'd say mid-2000s, probably around 2007, 2008 is when I really started singing. But I really didn't grow into it, quite frankly, till this last album. I really think the Farmer Bob stuff, singing so many different diverse things, really improved my voice quite a bit because it allowed me to kind of venture into other stuff. You know, going from singing Bee Gees, then going and doing, White Zombie, and then jumping over and doing Styx. You know, you kind of jump back and forth and do a whole bunch of different things. So,
Well, I got to be honest with you, Mark. When I listen to your work, literally, I feel that you're very, very comfortable. It is just a natural thing for you to be doing. So I congratulate you for that. Steve Admiral is joining us. Haven't seen you in a dog's age, Steve. We're going to have to catch up. We really, really are. Believe me, it's a pleasure to have you on board. Now, at the same time, we were talking about possibly sending us some promotional stuff and doing some advertising and stuff like that, so that we can keep you rolling here at Galaxy. And it would be an absolute pleasure, my friend. It really, really would, because we want to get behind you as much as possible. We really, really do. We'd love to be able to give away a few of those, maybe 100 of those CDs that you're getting numbered, pressed, signed, everything like that.
Sure.
Be an absolute pleasure to be able to do so.
Have the lovely Barbara get me your address so I can send it.
I'll do that. I really, really will.
Cool.
And believe me, do you know much about New Zealand?
No, I actually don't.
Okay, well, let me give you the skinny on New Zealand because, and we'll do it really, really quickly. New Zealand's made up of 3 islands, predominantly, not including the Chathams or anything like that, but even though they are part of New Zealand, we are mostly 3 islands. One very small one down the bottom, and it's called Stewart Island. In fact, it's the only island that actually got a name. Well, I mean, Stewart, it's a manly name, it really is. It's a great name. But whoever, therefore, named the rest of New Zealand ran out of imagination, really, and called the next one South, and the one after that north. You know what I mean? So yeah.
North. So you're north of Stewart or south of Stewart, or?
Yeah, we're way north of Stewart, literally. Stewart is more closer to the pole.
Okay.
Yeah, believe me, good for mutton birds, really is. And there really is such a thing as mutton birds as well. But having said that, you know, we're a friendly people. We would love to be able to show you around New Zealand. Places, for instance, I don't know whether you're into going back in time kind of thing, because believe me, there's places down there like the Marlborough Sound where it looks like the dinosaurs are still roaming around through there. I've got to be honest. I know they are actually. Mum was down there last week. So
well, trust me, I've been to some places. There's some places in China that I've been to where it's like it goes like back to the Stone Age. Yeah, so believe me, but I love culture and I love those changes. So matter of fact, JK right now is heading to Montana, I believe, to go. He likes to dig for bones, dinosaur bones and stuff. That's his thing. He likes to do. So he's off doing that now. So
that's cool. I love archaeology. I really
Yeah.
do. So believe me, I'm going to get on very, very well with JK because I find that fascinating. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I told him we had a bone to pick when he comes back, so he better find a lot of them. So.
Well, I tell you what, if he's really interested, while here in New Zealand, I've got a few places that, yeah, well, okay, it's owned by the government, but you know, I'm sure we can find a way around that, literally. But believe me, there's some really, really interesting fossilised stuff down the South Island. There really is. Hanging around kind of places where you find coal, in fact, and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, believe me, my father was the shop firer for the local coal mines and forestries and stuff like that, blowing stuff up. The amount of fossilised stuff that we found is fantastic. I got some places, I really do. So I'd love to show them to JK. I really would. And
Awesome.
I'm sure you'd be fascinated because, well, New Zealand's kind of a weird place. I've got to be honest with you, bro. We're kind of crazy down here.
You should come see some of the cities here.
I've been there. I have. I used to tour with an Australian band all the way through America. We did 36 months around the world. We really, really did. And I got to know a lot of the unaccustomed customs that Americans can have sometimes. Literally. One of the scariest things that I've ever seen, literally, I was in a gas station and a guy got shot dead in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the police officer at the time that responded went, yeah, died of natural causes, lead poisoning.
Yeah.
Scary! Nah.
Depends on where you are. It just becomes like another daily chore. So.
Well, yeah, we were at the arena, literally, and we still had a couple of hours to go before the doors opened up and everything like that. Thought I'd go and buy myself a packet of cigarettes at the time. So I went wandering, found a gas station, bang, this guy gets shot in the doorway, and it's like, are you kidding me? No, literally. And the cop says to me, literally, where are you from? I went, New Zealand. He goes, where?
Yeah. Not from here.
Just past that way. Yeah, a little past that way. My friend, we've come to the very last song that we're going to be talking about today, but I'm going to ask you, will you come back again, because we would love to be able to continue this on, keep releasing new music and everything like that with you. But my father's ghost, and as I said, I'm a toss-up between Waiting and Wondering and my father's ghost, of which one's my favourite. So settle the score for me. Tell me about this track.
So my father's ghost, and the whole album goes to my father's past. Really has, every one of the albums has a story behind it, and it has a premise, right? So like the artwork on the front of the album, where there's a person staring into the mirror and they see this kind of smoky, ghostly kind of figure within the mirror. Well, that person looking in the mirror represents both my father and me, and we're looking into the mirror collectively, and we're seeing like the future and the past, and you know, history, all those things. And it also has like this connection to the actual forefathers, you know, so everything that actually puts together the country and what it is and where it's going. And So that's kind of what this whole thing is. It's this premise about my father's ghost. That ghost lives within us, through cultures, through all these different things. It lives within us, and it's up to us to carry that along and do something good with that, and to learn from the bad in those ghosts and the good, and carry that with us, and try to be better people and promote a better future. But that's kind of what that whole thing's about. It's about that ghost of my father's past. And that's why I didn't put that's why I didn't separate it out as the personal with the little quote with S, to say that, hey, like it's owned by the father. It's not that. I left that out because it was more of my father, your father, our forefathers. It just had to do with the entire part of that premise. So,
Yeah, you know something, my friend? Speaking of forefathers, I'm sorry I only had one. I wasn't allowed for them.
again, it depends on where you come from.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Henry Salazar is joining us. Nice to have you on board, Henry. Here is Ficton Syxx with Mark, yes, and My Father's Ghost on Galaxy. Yeah, I wasn't allowed forefathers. I've had a lot of brothers come from different mothers, though, I've got to be honest.
Hey, you reminded me of a Bee Gees song now. I had the opening lick on that song actually is similar to one of my guitar heroes, which is Gary Moore, who played with Thin Lizzy, and then later on had some awesome albums, Victims of the Future and Corridors of Power. So I was really influenced by him, as was JK, actually. That's where we have a connectivity there, is that we both were huge Gary Moore fans. But that lick right there is that little moving kind of arpeggiated structure there on that E, the E minor.
Yep.
It was actually, I kind of ripped that off a little bit from Gary. So that little opening part there is similar to something he had done. Not exactly, but similar. So.
Well, I've got to apologise because I thought there was a bit of Steve Vai in there.
Ah, well, that's JK, I think.
Right,
JK
okay.
brings that. He's a big Steve Vai guy, so he does a really cool bends. JK is like one of the best rock slide players that I know, and it kind of defines the Ficton Syxx sound. He started playing slide on the first album, and I was like, no, keep playing that. It's kind of we're a melting pot of different influences, and adding that just kind of adds that flavor and makes it Ficton Syxx. It's just that aura about it. So,
well, I've actually done a couple of concerts with Steve Vai here in New Zealand, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, and so I got to know him relatively well while he was here, and he was actually trying to hawk a couple of carbon guitars at the time too. Brand new concept at the time. But believe me, there was just something in this particular track, literally, that I thought, God, there's a bit of Steve Vai in there somewhere.
Well, we have a mixture of influences. I liked Ronnie Letecro from TNT. I liked Randy Rhoads. I probably stole Yngwie Malmsteen's vibrato. So there's you have a few different things that kind of move in and out. So there's a lot of flavors in there. So
I think that's indicative of Ficton Syxx. I think that is just completely sums it up right there of what Ficton Syxx is. Couldn't put Ficton Syxx into one bracket. Really, really couldn't. Because believe me, as an engineer, even I'm discovering stuff about the band. It is fascinating, and that's what I love about it. I think the challenge of trying to put it together and figure it out, which is true. Johnny Webb is joining us. Nice to have you on board, Johnny. Welcome back, my friend. Very, very cool. Today we're talking to Mark from the band Ficton Syxx, coming out of Arkansas, and believe me, it's fascinating talking to him. Now, at the same time, Mark, somebody told me you were a teacher.
I do teach at the music school here and I also give presentations to some of our students at the University of Arkansas for intellectual property and things like that. So, but I'm also a PhD student, so I'm doing a number of projects this next semester that has to do with nanosensors and stuff. So it's completely, that's actually my second album, or our second album, Ficton Syxx. That's where the name The Alternate Me came from. It's what we do during the day to support our families, but that alternate me comes out at night. So my rocker side and everything comes out at night, and that's where I do the real me comes out. So it's the alternate me, but that's really kind of what this is all about. But I'm also fascinated about science, and I love learning new things. So it's exciting.
Let me interrupt you there. We're just running out of song, so let's go back to the desk, right? And by the way, thank you for joining us today, bro.
Absolutely, anytime. You know, I don't know whether it's me or not, but not only is there a little Steve Vai in there, I think there's a little bit of Gilmore in there as well. You know, a little bit of Pink at the end of that, just that feel about it, to be honest with you. It got that, yeah, and believe me, I've worked with Pink Floyd as well, here a couple of shows in New Zealand, and believe me, it's just that expertise on the guitar, and I've got to absolutely recommend anybody that's going to be going to see Ficton Syxx live. It is going to be an event that you shouldn't miss, literally. Now, do you have any shows on the plan at the moment, keeping in mind with the COVID virus thing? At the moment, we don't. So we just finished the album. It was quite the chore to finish the album. It took us longer than what we expected because of the whole COVID thing. So we have different things that we had to deal with on our own. I had COVID for a period of time, so it took me a little while to get over that. And so, you know, but everybody in the band, we have families, we have other things that we do during the day, and along with COVID, it just really slowed down the process. So we're looking forward to the next chapter. We're hoping that things go well with this whole Grammy run, and we're hoping that, I think the biggest thing too is the acceptance of the new bands. There's some really great new bands out there, but the old talking heads and stuff, I won't name any names, but they still talk about the same bands they've been talking about for decades. And a lot of those bands I really admire. They're legends. I love them. But, you know, a lot of them, they don't even have the original members in it. Some have one member left, and some of them haven't really put out a record in the past, you know, decade that's been really is anywhere near their original stuff. So I just wanted to give the new bands a chance, even if it's not Ficton Syxx. There's a lot of bands out there that are new that are really, really good. You know, I dig like Sons of Apollo. I think should get more attention. Ron Thal is a beast on the guitar, and you know, they have excellent players and excellent singers. So I just like to see more of the new stuff out there for sure.
Fair enough too. I got to let you know, and I understand what you're saying about bands not being the original bands and stuff like that. In fact.
Sure.
Not so long ago, and you might remember this, AC/DC, they had Axl Rose, and of course at the same time he had a bit of a mishap, broke his ankle, everything like that. He's coming out for his first performance, and I give him credit, he actually went out there and gave it a go in a wheelchair. You know what I mean?
He did a good job too.
Yeah, he did an absolutely superb job, but unfortunately, you see, friend of mine literally is the former drummer. Of course, I'm talking about Philip Rudd. He gets in touch with me and he says, Grant, I got a question for you. And I went, what's that, Phil? And he goes, with Axl Rose now taking the lead from Brian, of course, Brian's a little hard of hearing right now, have they become their own tribute band?
Yeah.
Well, don't forget, you know, one of them passed away not so long ago as well, you know, so Neil, and so yeah, I get that, and I registered his query, you know what he wasn't making a joke, he was actually quite serious about it. But at the same time, of course, Brian's back now, he's had ear surgery and stuff like that, getting it rocking again. But I got to commend Axl. Now, a lot of people foobarred this and went, no, it's not the same AC/DC. But let's not forget too that they've gone through a number of lead singers in their history as well, and it's just down to you've got to get used to the idea, open up your mind to a different concept. I mean, Brian Johnson was completely different from Bon Scott, for instance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I was a big Bon Scott fan. You know, but the Back in Black album was iconic. You know, so you know, I agree. Iron Maiden, for example, I love the first two Iron Maiden albums, but you know, Bruce is fantastic. And so, there are some bands that get lucky that make that transition and actually still produce awesome material. It doesn't happen all the time.
Exactly. But yet, on the other hand, this Queen didn't quite find somebody to replace Freddie. I got to be honest with you. But big ups to Brian for keeping the legend going. My friend, we are going to have to wrap this up right now. But thank you so much for joining us here in New Zealand and taking the time out of your evening over there to get to know us here in New Zealand. Would you come back again?
Absolutely, love you guys. I'll come on there anytime. And so, but make sure you get me that address, and I'll make sure I make some spots for you.
Brilliant, absolutely stunning. I'll get Barbara onto that straight away. I really will. But at the same time, you may get the cartoon maybe tomorrow or the day after it takes Barbara a little
Am I
bit
going
of
to be
time.
Bugs Bunny or maybe Pepe Le Pew?
No,
Maybe from the French blood I get the Pepe Le Pew, maybe. I don't know.
Well, actually, I kind of like Peppy myself, to be honest. There's just something about that skunky guy. Having said that, but hang in there, my friend. We're going to do a couple of photos after
Okay.
this. In the meantime, let's go out with the band Alabama and